All right, strap yourselves in, everyone. We're going deep today.
Deep, huh?
Sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is. We're tackling a daily global news report. It's from February 6, 2025. They say they've got the top 5 global stories crammed into, like, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Ambitious, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to see if they pull it off. And of course, we'll dig a little deeper, see what's really going on beneath those headlines.
Always more to the story than meets the eye.
Exactly. So let's kick things off with, well, this is a doozy.
Uh-oh.
Former President Trump has suggested that, get this, the U.S. should take over the Gaza Strip.
Wow. That's a bold move.
Yeah, you could say that again. And the reactions are pouring in. King Abdullah of Jordan, for one, well, he's not holding back. Flat out rejected the idea.
I can imagine. That's a powder keg of a proposal.
Yeah,
What's the broader response been like?
Oh, it's not just Jordan. Saudi Arabia, Iran, they're all pushing back hard.
This feels like more than just disagreement over a specific policy. It's touching a nerve, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. It raises some big questions, doesn't it? Like, what is the U.S.'s role in the Middle East these days?
Right. Is this part of a bigger picture, a shift in U.S. foreign policy, maybe even a step back from the region? Or is this, classic Trump just shaking things up?
Either way, the implications are huge, especially for, well, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As if that wasn't complicated enough already.
Definitely adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation.
Speaking of complex, let's hop back over to the U.S. Trump's been busy, it seems. He issued an executive order trying to limit birthright citizenship. And now there's a legal battle brewing.
Birthright citizenship, it's a hot-button issue for sure.
It is. A federal judge actually blocked the order, saying it would cause irreparable harm. Those are strong words.
They are. For listeners who might not be familiar, birthright citizenship means that anyone born on U.S. soil automatically becomes a U.S. citizen.
Right. So it doesn't matter where your parents are from. If you're born here, you're a citizen. It's in the 14th Amendment.
Exactly. And that amendment has a heavy history. It was ratified right after the Civil War, and it was really meant to guarantee citizenship to formerly enslaved African Americans.
So it's not just a legal principle. It's tied up with ideas of, like, what it means to be American.
Absolutely. And this ruling, this whole debate, it digs into those questions, Who gets to be American? What are the criteria? It's a really fundamental issue.
It's fascinating how these legal battles can reveal so much about a country, about its values.
Definitely. Law is never just about law, is it? It's about power, identity, belonging.
Okay, well, from clashes over ideology to maybe a family feud.
Ah, this sounds juicy. What do we got?
We're heading over to the Philippines now. The Vice President, Sara Duterte, she's facing impeachment charges. And one of those charges is that she was plotting to, wait for it, assassinate her own brother.
Hold on. Her brother, like the president.
The one and only, like real-life soap opera, right?
Shakespearean almost. You can't make this stuff up.
And to think, this is all happening against a backdrop of, tensions with China, territorial disputes in the South China Sea.
The Philippines is in a precarious position. It's right at the center of this geopolitical tug of war between major powers. And then you add in internal power struggles, family drama, possible assassination plots.
It's a recipe for a whole lot of trouble.
Definitely a situation to watch closely. A lot at stake for everyone involved.
For sure. And it's a reminder, too, of how personal relationships can get tangled up with political power, Especially in a place like the Philippines, with its history of, political dynasties.
Yeah, power dynamics can be incredibly complex, especially when family ties are thrown into the mix.
Okay, well, this next story takes a turn. It's a bit more personal.
In what sense?
Well, it focuses on the human costs of political decisions. We hear from a man, he's Indian, who was deported from the U.S., and he describes being chained, like literally chained, hands and legs, for the entire flight back.
That's awful. I mean, regardless of the circumstances, that kind of treatment is just inhumane.
It really makes you think, about the systems we have in place, the way we treat people, even those we're, kicking out of the country.
Right. It's easy to get lost in policy debates, abstract arguments, but then you hear a story like this, and it brings it all back down to earth.
It forces us to confront the human reality of these policies.
Exactly. And to ask ourselves, what are the ethical limits of enforcement? When does security become cruelty?
Heavy stuff. Makes you really appreciate the human stories behind the headlines.
Absolutely. Those individual experiences are so important. They remind us that we're not just dealing with statistics, we're dealing with real people, with lives and families and hopes and fears.
Exactly. All right, well, the report wraps up with one last story. It's about Harwinder Singh. He was trying to get to the U.S., and he decided to take the donkey route.
The donkey route. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's an informal route through Central America.
Mm.
It's known for being incredibly dangerous.
Ah, I see. One of those perilous journeys people undertake out of, well, desperation, I imagine.
Exactly. Singh actually describes seeing people die along the way. I mean, that level of risk, it just shows you how desperate people are.
It's heartbreaking, really, and it speaks to the larger forces at play. The global inequalities, the conflicts, the climate change, all the factors that are pushing people to leave their homes and risk everything for a chance at a better life.
Right. It's easy to forget that there are, like, whole networks, global systems in place that facilitate these journeys.
Oh, yeah. It's not just individuals making these choices in a vacuum. There's a whole underground economy, a whole infrastructure supporting this movement of people.
It's a whole other world we don't often see.
Exactly. A hidden world, but one that has a profound impact on the lives of millions.
Well, there you have it. 5 stories, each one a glimpse into a different corner of our world. We've got power plays and legal battles, human rights concerns, personal struggles, and, well, a little bit of family drama thrown in for good measure.
It's a reminder that the world is messy, complicated. There are so many factors at play, so many perspectives to consider.
It's easy to get overwhelmed, to just tune it all out. But I think it's important to engage, to try to understand, even if it's just one story at a time.
I agree. And I think it's crucial to think critically, to question what we see and hear, to dig a little deeper.
Exactly. What are the historical roots of these situations? Who benefits? Who loses? And most importantly, what can we do about it? These are questions we should all be asking ourselves.
Absolutely. Because in the end, these aren't just stories. They're our reality.
They are. So as you go about your day, maybe think about these stories. Which one stuck with you? Why? Maybe it'll spark a conversation or inspire you to learn more. Because the more we understand, the better equipped we are to make a difference.
Well said. Knowledge is power, as they say.
It is. So go out there, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, keep asking questions.
The world needs more curious minds.
That it does. All right, folks, that's a wrap for us today. Until next time, stay curious.
And stay informed.